I'm just getting warmed up. This is von Clausewitz shit. Total fucking war. I'm gonna pull the whole thing down. I'm gonna bring the whole fucking diseased, corrupt temple down on your head. It's gonna be biblical.
Good evening, Ape Nation. Guys, what's going on? It is Thursday, December 16th, 2021. And if you recognize that clip, that is from law-abiding citizen Gerard Butler, is saying how the judicial system is corrupt, and he's going to expose it and bring it down on its head. Kind of reminded me of us a little bit, and I'm going to explain why. I haven't put out a video in the last couple of days, only because I've been waiting for Jay Powell and the Fed to speak, and seeing how the market reacts to it. There's not much I'm going to be able to add on a Monday or Tuesday in the market. So, I want to talk about von Clausewitz, total war, how it correlates to us and AMC, and we're going to do that right now. So without further ado,
cue the speeder.
This is the way.
okay, so without turning this into a history lesson, who is Karl von Clausewitz? Basically, he was a Prussian military commander who served in the late 1700s, early 1800s during the Napoleonic Wars. And at that time, Napoleon was rampaging through the continent, basically conquering nation after nation. And some of the European countries had formed a coalition in order to stop Napoleon. And one of the big things he talked about was the fog of war, the spreading of misinformation. Just this line right here says, in the face of incomplete, dubious, and often completely erroneous information and high levels of fear, doubt, and excitement, call for rapid decisions by alert commanders. So he was big into not only making sure that they sifted out through the information and got the facts, but he was also big on spreading misinformation to the enemy. And it continues on, while Clausewitz was intensely aware of the value of intelligence at all levels, he was also very skeptical of the accuracy of much military intelligence. Many intelligence reports in war are contradictory, even more are false, and most are uncertain. In short, most intelligence is false. And again, he described that as the fog of war. And he goes on to describe military genius, and he says it's not simply a matter of intellect, but a combination of qualities of intellect, experience, personality, and temperament. And there are many possible such combinations that create a highly developed mental aptitude for the waging of war. And I know just from answering the comments in the last couple of days that we are all going through the same thing. We are all psychologically beat down right now, fighting this battle. And von Clausewitz is pretty famous for his 3 reciprocal actions. I'm going to talk about just the bottom 2. The first one is called the utmost use of force. You can read these on your own if you want. But in the second one, he says the aim is to disarm the enemy. And he talks about, in order to make the enemy comply with one's will, a state must place its adversary in a position that is more oppressive to it than compliance. This is because it would be more likely that an enemy will simply ride out the storm in the prospect of being in a better position at a later stage. And I would say you could put kicking the can down the road in parentheses there. It will mean the same exact thing. Forcing an enemy into a position where it cannot resist. And even more importantly, I think, is this point that he makes. He says, here Clausewitz states that if a state wishes to defeat its enemies, it must annihilate them. According to Clausewitz, the use of power involves 2 factors. The first is the strength of available means, which may be measured somewhat by numbers, although not entirely. The second factor is the strength of the will, which cannot be specifically measured, only estimated as it is intangible. And guys, I'll leave you with this because I know it's late. I thought this was the most interesting thing that von Clausewitz had to say about war because it's so true. You can take all the numbers and all the strength and the force ahead of you and look at it and estimate and say, do I have a chance to win this fight? But what you can't take into account and you can't account for is the will of the enemy that you're up against. And that goes both ways, right? The only thing they can account for right now is how determined and the will of the people in this community to hold until we get to the price that we need to be at. This doesn't have a ton of information in it, but I thought it might help you to understand this fog of war that we're in, the spreading of misinformation, the fear, uncertainty, and doubt. All of that are tactics used by our enemy. And we just got to be mentally strong and have the willpower to hold out. And I'm doing that with you guys right now, and I know you are too. I try to answer everyone's comments the last couple days. Thank you for all of them. I love all you guys out there. This is Ape Nation. I'm the Massalorian, and I'm out.